So let's take a look at a recent change in Cockpit. And that has to do with the privileged tasks that it can perform. You'll see this new checkbox on the login screen. Reuse my password for privileged tasks. Whatever does that mean? Well, Cockpit doesn't have special privileges on your system. It can perform actions for the user that is logged in. If I log in as admin, then Cockpit can perform exactly those tasks on the system, write exactly those files that admin has access to. And when I check this box, we can then use this password here to escalate privileges to perform privileged tasks. Let's take a look at that on the command line. I'm going to use SSH to log into the same system here using the same account. And I'm logging in with a password, although a key would work similarly. Now I'm logged in, and I'm logged in as a non-root user. I'm logged in as admin. I don't have privileges to write to root-owned files or perform tasks that only root can do. I need to use a tool like sudo to perform that task. So let's say I want to restart the Cockpit service. I have to use sudo here, and I'm asked to retype my password to prove that I'm still here. And there we go, that happened. I can also use sudo-s to become root for longer periods of time, perform lots of privileged tasks. Or I can use policy kit, like this. And systemd in this case will note that my user called admin needs to prove that I'm still here in order to perform this privileged task, and it does so. It requests my password again in order to do so. So there we go. This is the principle of least privilege in action. Now in Cockpit, you typically log in to the system to perform privileged tasks. This is an admin interface. So we've made this slightly easier, but it models exactly the same reality. If I uncheck this box and log in, I'm logged in purely as my admin user, and I cannot perform privileged tasks. Look at that. I can't access Docker on the system. Why? Because accessing Docker is a privileged task. It's a root equivalent task. If you can access Docker, you can do anything as root on the system. A lot of stuff still works. I can still monitor the system. I can look at the logs, but only the logs for my user, for admin. You can see that I can still see the storage, various bits and bobs. But as you can see, I'm rather limited. In fact, if I go into the terminal and I try to, let's say I want to become root, I can't. It says I'm not authorized. Let's log out and do these operations again with this box checked. Now Cockpit will use my password to perform the privileged tasks I ask it to. And I've explicitly allowed it to do that. So now you can see certain things work better. Let's look at the containers page. We can see, hey, we can access Docker containers. Why? Because when Cockpit needed to escalate privileges, it doesn't know how to do that on its own, but it now has the password. It passed it to sudo, and now we can access Docker. The same is true of the logs. Now I can see many more logs. Actually, I may have gotten that wrong around the first time, but in any case, I can see logs that only root can access, whereas the previous time I could see logs that admin had access to. And now I can actually do things like become root here, and Cockpit will fill in the password as necessary. You can see the status change here. You can see here we are allowed to use my password for privileged tasks and connecting to other machines. And I can clear this. In the future, we hope to have some indication up here whether privileges are required or requested, which you can click and then perform the same actions again with privilege escalation enabled. So there'll be more changes in this area, but this is the first to more clearly reflect to system administrators what is actually going on and how we perform privileged tasks. Thanks for watching.